Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Focus on Liberia, this is a special edition. My guest is Mr. Kamal Joe Cully. Kamal, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Jai. Thank you for having me tonight. It's such a great pleasure being with you tonight.
And we are having some technical issues here, so bear with me. We will be right back. This is Mr. Kamal Joe Cully. He's candidate for the president of United Bong County Association in the Americas. Share the show, keep tuned, and we're going to be right back. Again, we want to say welcome to yet another edition of Focus on Liberia. My guest is Mr. Kevon Joe Cully. He's running for president of the United Bong County Association in the Americas. Once again, Mr. Cully, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Jai. It's a pleasure being with you tonight.
What's up? Yeah. All right. Again, we want to welcome. We're having some slowness here, some technical issues here, but we're going to resolve that quickly. This is Focus on Liberia. Our guest is Mr. Joe Cully. He's running for president. Mr. Cully,
Yes,
I want to
sir.
say again, welcome. And you are candidate for president of United Bong County Association in the Americas. A little bit about Mr. Joe Cully. I want to read quickly. Right. We say he's running for president of the United Bong County Association in the Americas. Mr. Colley currently lives in Minnesota. He holds a Master of Arts degree in sociology with college teaching emphasis from Minnesota State University in Minnesota, and also a Bachelor of Arts in sociology and history, double major from University of Minnesota, USA. Again, welcome, Mr. Colley. This is by our tradition, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is your first time. In a special way, we present to you our ceremonial cola. Receive it.
Thank you, sir. Receive it with pleasure.
All right. So for those who I read just a little bit about you, let's first talk about who is Mr. Kamal Joe Cully.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai. And again,
Anything that I left out that you want to include that people would know? Anything fun about you also?
oh, that's a great one. I think my wife can attest to that. I don't know about the funny part, but again, and thank you for having me tonight. It's a great pleasure being here and your listening audience. I hope that we can have a nice conversation. A little bit about me. I live in Minnesota. do have a beautiful wife. We've been together for 26 years. So blessed to have a wife that can put up with me in many instances. We have six beautiful children. I'm really fortunate to have wonderful kids. I love them to kill. And our older daughter is doing wonderful work. She's completed her master's, running her own little business. Our son is there doing his own thing, productive, working. Our middle daughter is in school. I got three other kids at home with me and keep me busy. A little bit about me. I'm from our little village there in Bong County, Bamukali town, and I that's where I came from. Fortunate to be one of those individuals who had the chance, I call it a chance, to be able to get access to formal schools through some investment from other people who saw the need to help a little kid from the village. So we're able to have the opportunity to learn. I also had the opportunity to come to this great country and as an investment into my own personal growth in terms of education. I've been in the community. I've been greatly involved with the Bon County community here. I serve 2 terms as a president. I serve as a secretary on the national level. I also serve as a member of the membership committee. 2015 elections. I was the board chair for not board chair. I was the election commissioner, not the board chair. Election Commission, head of the Election Commission for United Bunkers Association. So I've been around, for a little while.
Good. Again, thank you so much. I want to again welcome our viewers from across the globe. County organizations are a very big part of our diaspora organizations here in the United States, and they have been around for quite a while now. So we are very happy to have you, Mr. Cully, to talk
Thank you.
about the Bong County Association. Elections are scheduled for this year, 2021. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the association and then your platform running for president, why you're running. But before we let's lay the groundwork. Let's talk a little bit about Bong County. What is tell us a little bit about the history of this organization and your own involvement with it. You started a little bit already, but tell us a little bit more.
Thank you, Mr. Jai. That's a wonderful question. Again, United Bong County Associations has been in the Americas, has been around since the 1990s. I think it started in 1990 in the state of Rhode Island, and Bong County citizens from all walks decide to come together to form a union that will be able to serve our common interests. With the main focus of how we can be a service to our community, and our community back home. And we were engaged in a lot of work that we did during the 1990s. We're involved in a lot of humanitarian work back home, like feeding the family program. We did that. We did start an educational resources project. It hasn't gone far, and that's one some of the reasons why we in this process. And so we've been around for a little while since the 1990s. We have great people like the like of Dr. Wati, who Mr. Gassini, and other people who have greatly served our community. And this is a county association. It is a non-profit organization. Our focus is service, and to be able to help our people here provide needed or essential services to keep our people going.
Anytime you talk about any organization here, the first thing people say, what have you done? So what have you done, that anyone, what have you done for Bong County? Let me put it that way.
Thank you, Mr. Jai. At a national level, we have done a lot, but at the same time, we have had so many challenges. Like a lot of the organizations, the county organizations, is sometimes I always say that sometimes you lukewarm and sometimes you hot, and stuff, and it depends on the time or the processes or who is in at the helms of the leadership. So sometimes we've been active, another time we have gone cold. But for instance, as I alluded earlier, some of the work that we were doing during the 1990s were very active. In the 2000s, we also began engaging in feeding the family program, providing some humanitarian food services for our people in Bong County. That's a little while. And also we will be engaged in some refugee resettlement program. Places like on the East Coast, we're active there. But what has happened over the years, you have local chapters being more productive. Like in Minnesota here, there's a local chapter here which I've been part of for a little while, almost 2 decades now, and we've been actively involved as a nonprofit organization. Recently, we provided humanitarian aid to Phoebe Hospital Medical Supply. We helped to renovate a building at Phoebe just to be able to provide hosts for people that may experience the effect from the coronavirus. So we've been active involved in our area. We have provided scholarship as a local chapter, part of the UBCA. So we've done a lot of work, but at the same time, we have a lot of challenges and stuff like many of the kind of organizations that we
Right.
all need to work to be able to address.
So, for Bong County citizens in the United States, why should they become part of this organization? What is in it for them?
That's a good question. I mean, when I first, just to give you a little background, when I first got in contact with our local chapter organization here, I was a student at the U of M. There's a gentleman, a good friend of mine, Andrew Tedman, who met at one of our African Student Association meetings. And he said, "Hey, bro, where you from?" I say, "I'm from Bong County." He said, "Oh, wow, we got a Bong County organization in Minnesota." And I came, as an observer, I was watching to see you know, what am I going to gain to be part of this process? And
Right.
that's some of the questions I did ask my friend. What are the benefits of being a member of the local chapter here? And he could not give me a great answer. But the first 2 weeks I was there, I realized one thing I can say to you. One of the things that we as a community benefit from these county organizations, this is now the Bond County organization, is something we really overlook. When you're part of these organizations, you create a unique friendship, a unique organization. This place is very isolated. I
Mm.
know quite recently, a few years ago, one of our members, strong member here, passed away. And the family could not afford to bury that gentleman. And we as an organization, in less than 2 weeks, were able to raise, I think, more than $20,000 to bury that, to give him a good home going. So there's a lot of reasons why we all should be part of this process. And I always reach out there. I say, be part of it. Find an association. You'll be able to know what is happening to your brothers and sisters. Be your brothers and sisters keeper. And that's why I think that's the fundamental part of this organization, that we create this bond to be Liberian people. No matter what you say negative about them, one thing I can tell you they can do the best. They always reach out to each other, especially when in time of crisis and stuff. So that's some of the benefits of being there. And the second thing, collectively, it's good for us to do our individual work. I applaud Liberians who go into Liberia building and providing scholarship, giving money to friends. But as a county organization, we stand we in a unique position to be able to help spurs development across our county because we have direct access to membership. And the reason why I say that is that every people in the state of Minnesota that comes from Bond County and stuff can be part of a collective effort to be able to have real sustainable development in our country. I think we can be the conduit in which we can be able to develop our countries and as far as our country. The county organization, we just need to remodel ourselves to be
Yeah.
bring some corporate model in the process so that we can be a service to our people.
And we'll talk more about that corporate model when we're talking about. Give me, bear with me. I want us to lay the foundation here
Mhm, mhm,
before we even get to your campaign,
mhm,
because I've been around some organizations and there are always been some problems. One of the issue is, because we are focused on doing something back home, sometimes the way we go about it brings some trouble. So let me ask you about this one. What do people in Bond County today want
mhm.
UBCAA to do? Are
That's
you packaging some projects that carry to them, or are they the one asking you to do X, Y, Z?
so wait. Wow, this is a wonderful question. I like this question because it's easy for us to stay here and determine what the people want. We just had a convention in Kentucky a few years ago, 2018, not 2019 because of the COVID. Um, So 2018, yeah, 2018. But we just had a last convention in Kentucky. We had a representative again. I don't want to call his name before I don't want to be part of the political process there. But he brought some nice pictures of a lot of beautiful buildings. You know, some of them has been built and broken down and stuff. And thinking, oh, this is the hospital we built, this is the clinic we built. And one of the questions I asked him, I said, it's good to have these beautiful buildings, but what are they really producing? Are they providing real health care to people instead of just having a building? So to answer your question, some of the reasons why I think even it happens in that way is that people who building these buildings, they build these buildings because they want to be able to showcase that I'm a senator, I'm a representative, I'm doing something for our people. But I think we need to do it the other way around. Ask ourselves, what do people want? So I really like this question. So this is our focus. Before we do any project in Bong County, we have to do a need assessment. We got to know not only the need, we have to know the scope of the program, because if you don't do a needs assessment, you don't know the scope of the program. I always saying that we can come up with some massive projects. As county organization, I've gone to places, people raising money to build school, to build wells, to build highway toilets and stuff. Those are beautiful ideas. But unless we do need assessment to understand the scope of this program, have some data. If any project we're doing should have the data. Why should we have 4 maternity hospital or clinics built in a region that people can't even provide one nurse? So you build the buildings and you don't have the resources to fund it. So I just told someone it's better for us to have one clinic in a place and get a few ambulances and be able to find the resources to provide for that clinic so they can serve our people. So definitely, any project. That's why a lot of the nonprofit organizations, even the big ones, then fail because they and sometimes it's a donor issue though. And let me just make that clear. You know, sometimes it's a donor issue. You may have a donor that is so passionate for girls' education, so, but it doesn't mean that we can't go to Liberia and find a community that has that need, you know, based on our assessment. So to me, any project that anybody wants to do, period, it has to be able to be, you have to do some need assessment to know what the scope of the program, collect some data, do some analysis, and so you can know, so you can be successful. That's why we got a lot of projects and less implementation. Because if the people on the local level are not interested in what you're doing, there you, man, you'll be wasting a lot of your time. Because by the time you're trying to put a stick up, the guy's going on the farm because he or she does not see interest in that. It's just more of like your interest. If we get local people involved in the process, it becomes the people's project instead of being some organization or broad project.
Thank you. So, in the I'm not from Bong County, but I hear about Lower Bong and Upper Bong. How has United Bong County Association in America been dealing with that? Because even in my own organization, in my own county organization, we have that problem. Where should the projects go? What do we do? So, what are you doing in Bong County when it comes to this kind of lower Bong versus upper Bong, and where should this project be located?
That's another great question. And the issue of lower and upper Bong County kind of debate here or discussions has been going around before I was born. You know, so I remember my old man used to say the people in Upper Bong County, they're getting all the resources because they got all the big politicians there and they're leaving us behind. By the way, my old man was a clan chief in his little district in Lower in the San Jose district in Lower Bong County there, and he felt like, you know, resources was going the upper side and there. So it has been an age-old debate among people in terms of resources, the allocation of resources. That's a good. You see it even in America here that there's people in the South say we're being left out of the process, or other people, and even other countries. But to me, this is where I think we need to bring that debate back together here, to stuff, and so we can have some coherent discussions in terms of what it is. So the last time we had, it was a political effort by some people in the county to make sure that they can have this upper Bong County. I think there was even a proposed bill to be able to divide the county to make Lower Bong County a county all by itself compared to Upper Bong. There was some debate going on there. And this is why I told someone, I said, it's not a lack of resources that are creating the problem. It's a lack of strategic planning. because every part of this country is equally has needs. If you go to Upper Bong County, they have their needs there. You go to Lower Bong County, there are needs there. If we, as just how you talk about the idea of having need assessment, because the developments in the country become more centered around political development instead of really community development. So therefore, you have one politician who have access to resources, allocate resources in that area, and leave some other people behind. But this is a healthy debate. But the central solution to this, to me, it has to be us as a county sitting together and have a clear strategic plan. In Bong County, we have the county sitting where we decide where funding and resources go to the different projects. I think that's where we as UBCA is supposed to be sitting on the table there, so that at least we can be able to have another Bong County Association, so we can have be part of the discussions and give our opinion. We're not going there to tell people what to do. I always say the people there that know better, they know what to do. But we want to be part of it. We want to be able to share our opinions and our suggestions. But I think if we have do a reassessment of our conduct. For instance, I don't want to dwell on these questions a lot, but look at the college there. Look at the university, the community college in Bong County. I just told someone the other day, I said, this is a good for us to have this, it is good for us to have this building. But do we have the infrastructure, the resources to really adequately get kids out of this school that are well prepared to go and challenge the world in terms of their profession? I can almost say that it's a challenge for the county there. So I think if you really strategically plan, be able to allocate resources based on population. When people are doing planning here, they decide how many people live in Minneapolis compared to Shakopee, the little suburban district I'm from, or the city I'm from. There's a plenty around there. They look at populations, they look at needs, they look at all the other do well assessment before they develop. So the idea of upper and lower Bunk counties is a resource, is basic political acumen for access to resources. But I think we can resolve that by strategically planning how can we develop our content, across the board.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are in an exclusive interview with a candidate for president for the United Bong County Association in the Americas, Mr. Kemon Joe Colley. Mr. Colley, let's come to your campaign. Why have you decided to run for president?
Thank you very much. I generally ask some questions, but this is a service. One big answer is service. I've been around this community for a while. There's a time for us to be a service-oriented organization. 501c4 status, there's a huge debate among us in the community. Some people believe that we need to be a 501c3. Some people believe we need to be a 501c4 organization. And I always say to folks that, what is the founding fathers of this organization or mothers of this organization really wanted UBCA as an organization to be? If you talk to a lot of our folks here, may his soul rest in peace, brother, Dr. Wati, Mr. Gassini, and other people, it's always centered around service. So one of the main reasons I want to run, or I've told people I'm running, and we stay in the exploratory process, is because we have to build an institution. In order to provide service, we have to build institution. And it's easy for us to go to convention and ask people to pay $10 and $15. As I said earlier, we have to make these organizations mainly almost like bring some corporate model. I'm from the private sector. Bring some corporate model to this process that we're doing. You see, Comcast has to be able to serve a product that actually their viewers want or their subscribers want. If Comcast loses that taste of providing the what their viewer want, they're going out of business. I think the same kind of model we need to bring to our county organizations, especially UBCA. So our vision here is to build a robust organization that we can bring people around, people with like-minded people who will come to be able to provide that service and resources. I always say we're sitting on a gold mine because we do have a vast human and material resources. As a county organization, we got direct access to people, and when you got direct access to people, you got access to resources that you can get job done.
So Mr. Colley, let me interrupt you a little bit. You
Mhm.
say, are these the thing you're going to do differently? Are they not already being done? What is the extra thing that you bring?
So that's the extra thing. One of the main things that want to make this organization a resource organization, I mean, resource organization, a service organization. We want to be able to rebrand this organization in a way that it can be a service to our people. Don't get me wrong, we all like the politics. This, as people say, we all are political animals, but I can say we all are not. Well, some of us are political spectators. Some of us prefer to be in a service-oriented area instead of running campaign and taking pictures with political leaders. Because we want to be in the part of the political process. Some of us committed to service. We need to be able to provide resources to our people in order to help our people. Look at, I come from the background. I'm saying it with little emotion here. I would have been sitting here today if someone would have invested their time. I'll use this word just loosely, snatch me out of that village and give me access to education, to formal education. I would have been in that village today not having access to resources. I'm sitting in America and going to some of the best colleges here and learning. I got my beautiful children. I got future for them. There's a young kid in Sanoye. There's a young kid in Bogota. There's a young kid sitting down in Banga looking for opportunities that we as an organization can provide. So despite we can do all the politicking, be part of the political process, I'm not condemning people, but we have to be a service-oriented organization to
Mm,
give back what we have gained from our people. Our people depending on us,
okay.
and we sit there in one of the richest countries in the world is USA. Other people come from Ethiopia and other Eastern African countries, and they take advantage of the opportunity and they provide service to our people. We can do it as an institution. So we want to
Mm,
build an organization that can be able to do that. We want to unite our people. We want Bong County citizens to see the way to invest in their counties through a real, well-structured organization to serve them. And I don't want to go in the past and say these leaders didn't do this, and so I'm not one of the persons that always think ahead. I think collectively we can work to do better. The
okay.
opportunities are ours.
So, Joe Colley, campaign has not even started for
Hmm.
the presidency.
Hmm.
Already there is an issue with the convention.
Hmm.
Uh, According from what I've gathered,
Hmm.
the bull has usurped the power of the executive by going to, it's almost like they try to even fire the executive, and they are the one going ahead selecting the convention venue. What is the story behind this? Because the bull and executive rivalry
Hmm.
has existed in almost all organizations. Has this virus affected Bond County as well?
No, I can say no in a sense. We have enjoyed as a community organization, and we still enjoy that peace among ourselves. We one of the most peaceful organization. I'm not, we have our differences. Upper Bond County, lower Bond County, and different issues. For 501c3 and 501c4, we have those debates, but always debates centered around issues. We have not had those big divisions like other county organizations breaking apart. The idea of the leadership structure in our community. I don't want to talk for the board. Neither talk. I'm aspiring to be a candidate, and so I don't want to determine what the board and the executive are doing. But what is happening? There's a lot of misinformation. Or I don't want to use the word, but let me use it. There are some lies going on in our community in terms of what is happening, and a lot of them are not true. So for instance, the process of determining what we're supposed to be the convention venue, the process of election commission, who makes that decision. Our constitution makes it clear. The last administration term was over July of last year, according to our constitution. When our leadership term was over, the next process was that we as a community supposed to be able to have elections since 2019.
Mm.
But was that 2019? Yeah, 2020.
2020.
2020. Sorry, I'm kind of going backward a little bit. But 2020, but because of the COVID, like any other institution, we were impacted by that way. So the board and the executive has been sitting together to find a way to resolve the issue of of I can always say constitutional crisis, in the sense that hey, right now we don't have elections is not done. We have an executive that is still in leadership here. That then we have a board that their authorities to make sure to provide oversight, as you said. Board and executive complements each other. This is not supposed to be a fighting stuff, especially for nonprofit organization. So
Yeah.
what have happened? There have been differences in terms of debate between these two institutions. But last year they have sat together and be able to resolve some of these issues, some of the areas, some of the misinformation that going on there. I can almost blatantly say lies that going on there is that the board has chosen the venue for where the candidate comes from.
Right.
It's
So
ridiculous.
let's cut to the chase, right?
Mhm,
Because
mhm,
according to what I've gathered, there was
mhm.
convention in Kentucky that selected Philadelphia
No.
for the 2020. Yeah, for the convention in Philadelphia, from what I gathered, selected Philadelphia as their convention venue. And then came COVID, and that was not held.
No.
So the executive, from what I learned, the
Mhm,
executive has not decided that okay, since because the current president, Mr. Samuel Sunday,
mhm,
whom I know personally, is
mhm,
also is not seeking re-election. So the issue was not about him overstaying his term;
mhm,
it was just
mhm.
because of COVID. So now that COVID is, we are seeing some light, at the end of the tunnel now. Has the executive decided the convention venue? Because what I'm hearing is the board chairman who comes from your district or whom you are related to, from what I heard, is the one who is deciding to bring this to Minnesota to give you the home court advantage.
Great. Thank you. Good question. Let me clear this issue for your listening audience and also for Bong County citizens in the USA, in Liberia, and all part of this world. This is clear. It's part of the meanings from the last convention. We went to let me. I was if you can just give me a few time to really clear this process, so I can
Okay.
tell you the context, where it starts from, and where we're going. So I was part of the convention in 2019 in Kentucky. I was privileged to be a delegate from our state of Minnesota there. At that convention, a proposal was made by a gentleman, Mr. George Toto. He's one of the, I'll specifically talk about him. Mr. George Toto came up to the convention and requested and said there was a chapter somewhere, and a group of Bong County people, about 50 of them, had gathered together to be able to form themselves as a Bong County organization. And he proposed, he's suggesting to the convention to take the convention to Philadelphia. It was a concern to a lot of people in the convention, yeah, this is a chapter this is one kind of citizen forming themselves. They are not part of the union, and we're talking about taking convention there. Is kind of a little ironic, but the issue was discussed. And the agreement that came from there is that we will empower the executive leadership, which we did, to go and find out whether even there's a chapter there in the first place. And if there's a chapter there and request for that chapter to form part of the process of getting to being part of the union, which is submitting your application to the executive sending it to the board, and the board taking that application and approving the process and bringing it to the ballot for ratification. That's how the process has been for other people who have been part of the union. The executive, which I was privileged to be sitting in a lot of those meetings and stuff as a member of the board, local board here, and stuff. We went to the meetings, and the first report we got from the executive that there was no Bong County organization there in Philadelphia. There was a Bong Pellet People Association that has formed itself. In fact, our vice president went there as an emissary from the executive and the president.
Mm.
He went to that meeting, and at that meeting, there the folks he told us he was a little bit embarrassed because the first thing the people say, "What are you doing here? This is not a Bong County organization. This is a Pellet People organization of Pellet People from across West Africa, and you know that Pellet People in other places of West Africa."
Mm.
So he brought our report back. So the next thing the president, our national president was doing, he said, okay, there's also an opportunity there for us to form a chapter. We as a union, the strength of this union is based on chapter creation. We need to
Right.
be the most chapter we have, the more resources we have.
Right.
So we also put in the idea for us to be able to find some Bong County citizens, because that place used to be, you remember, that region is the breadth of this organization. So having a chapter in the Delaware area, Philadelphia area is a plus for us as a community. So our president, national president, start to have some conversation with some group of people there to form a chapter. And that process has been ongoing. What has not happened is that group that have formed itself, which we all employ, we always, if I win today, if I given the opportunity as a president, one of my first visits will be in that area because that region is the breadth of our organization. We need to be active there. There are a lot of Bong County citizens there. But what this group has not done, if at all, they are not formally registered to be part of this process. They have not. They have not submitted application. They have not part of the. They have not submitted, which if they did, maybe it was yesterday. But as of current, I don't have any information that this chapter have ever submitted an application to be part of the union. So in short, we did not commit. I'm part of the process. We did not commit to any area of this country in 2019 to host convention. We did not have a registered chapter there. We have Bong County citizens that are forming themselves as a chapter. The issue of Minnesota, just before we go on, I don't want to spend a lot of time. The issue of Minnesota, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is very interesting. First thing, let me make it clear: the board chair is not my family. Let me just say, I hear myself not relative. But in short, everybody that our uncle, all my kids at home, they tell me, funnily, they say, "Oh, Daddy, where is our real uncles, our real auntie, and our real and our African uncle?" So we all, in short, we are relatives. But just to make it clear for the record, the board chairman is not my family. So this is what happened. What I've heard, again, I'm not part of the process. We get the information because we're privileged and we aspiring to be in this position. What we have heard is that the board, in collaboration with the executive, have gone around the country to find a place, with the exception of the Philadelphia or the Delaware chapter group of people who have formed themselves as a chapter, which we welcome, but had not completed the process. And they have gone to all the other fully registered chapters who are part of the union, the Atlanta Bell, the Atlanta, the Iowa area. They have gone there and asked them to host this convention. And Minnesota is the only chapter in this union. This is for facts. That has the infrastructure right now to host this convention because all the other chapters have refused it. That's what I'm hearing.
So what you are saying, both the board and the executive agreed for this to be in Minnesota because that's
for it to be in Minnesota. So some people carrying some rumors out there. Hey, guess what? Let me just say to you, Claire, we have invested a lot as an individual and collectively as a chapter. We have invested a lot in this union. We can take this election anywhere. Even if we can go to heaven today, we will beat our opponent. I can say to you for Claire. This is not because and let me just close with that. And the other history behind it that people saying, "Oh, they're bringing the convention to Minnesota to advantage me." Anyway, you take me, I have the advantage. People know me in this community. I've served here. They know we're building an institution. We're proposing to build an institution that will be able to serve our people. And there's the precedent. We had a precedent. 2015, I was the election chair. We had a president running from North Carolina. Mr. David Flomo in Preston, he's a great, wonderful big brother of us in this community. He served our community well. Mr. David Flomo ran as president. His elections were held in North Carolina. Nobody opposed to it because there was no need to oppose to it. Because there's nothing in our constitution says that if a candidate is running under the rug and we have a chapter under the rug, we can't take the convention there. So a lot of misinformation is out there. But this is why I don't like Mr. Ja. And someone told me, say, if you want to be part of this process, you got to play this game. I don't like the politicking part of it. I'm from social science. I'm a businessman. I hope we can transform this organization to a non-profit so we can serve our people. I hope that in the future we can be able to find a next executive leader of our organization at our conferences instead of going through all the political process. But this is what we have now, So I just want to make that clarity. So this is not.
So I've talked to some people, and the issue of the convention is real. People are saying that, hey, it is not the executive that decided the venue of the convention is the board, and it shouldn't be that way. What you think can be the compromise here? to resolve that
But
impasse.
there's no compromise. I just told you that the board and executive agree for collectively where the convention
That
should
is
be
not what
held.
I gather. From what I
Yeah,
learned, the
but
board.
Mr. Jha, this is politicking, as I said to you. I don't want it to be between you and myself, but this is politicking. When this process is going on, like just like in Liberia, you will find people who would find a way to create, and a lot of the folks who are involved in these misinformation out there about the community and stuff, about elections and stuff, and they have the history of doing this. I don't want to accuse people directly, but a lot of what is happening is not true. It's
Okay.
not one individual sitting there and decide where this convention go. Again, I'll make it clear. Wherever this convention go, we have invested a lot in this community. If you come to Minnesota, everybody know me. In fact, my wife tells me that two people I'm married to, her and the community. From the day she met me, I have been a
Yeah.
service to the community. And I
So
think if this now my opponent feels like they fear because let us take the convention on the rock, we will win this thing.
okay.
When the process starts. I'm
So
saying it
so
will
you're
come to
saying what if this become an issue and there is you sit around the table and decide to move the convention to neutral ground? You were open to that?
anywhere this convention goes, I'm open to it. I mean, if the convention comes to Minnesota, yeah, that'll have advantage. Mr. David Flomo ran as on North Carolina. He didn't have to travel. He didn't have to take his
Yep.
delegate anywhere. That's part of
And,
the event. Maybe the work
and
we
so
have
and
done in
so
Minnesota, we reward him for it. Don't
so
beat
let me
us
ask this
because.
question:
Mhm.
if you are fortunate to be elected president,
Yeah.
how do you hope to restructure this organization? Because almost all the organizations I've been in, there has been this tension between the board and the executive leadership. What will you do
Hopefully,
differently with that structure?
do and let me just give you a little background. I worked with East African when I was supervising case management. We used to channel a lot of millions of dollars to that community in terms of the work to do. So I had an opportunity one time. I asked one of these guys, I said, "What you guys doing right?" He said, "Do it according to the book. The way nonprofit has structured in this country, if we just follow the books, we will not have these issues."
Like how?
Because this is it. The board and the executives are not separate from each other, but their roles are separate. But what is happening in our community? Because people, again, I don't want to cause organizations name that we've been part of. But what happened? The board sometimes wants to take the role of the executive, and the executive wants to take the role of the board. The board, the main structure of the board of directors for every organization in nonprofit setting, is providing oversight, making sure that the organization look for resources for the organization. The
Right.
board looking for resources for advocate for the organization. That's why our board members, we have to restructure who will actually bring our board.
Right.
And
So
let me
how do
not
you
take.
solve this problem, Mr. Colley? How
So
do you
that's the
solve it?
that's the solution. I'm telling.
Fire the people, or
No,
what do you
I'm
do?
not bringing. No, I'm not. This is why we're going to. If we structure our organization as a non-profit organization in which we supposed to be, we will function well. So this is what I would do specifically.
Okay,
If
yeah.
I'm given the opportunity to serve our community, which I will humbly accept. People know me in this community. I always work from the background. I was president here twice in this community. Nobody showed me bragging. I'm one of those who don't brag about anything. I always like to provide service to people. So this is what I would do. I think we as an organization need to sit down together. People from every part of this country, let's have a real strategic planning meeting where we always sit down and define the role of every individual or every position in this organization, confined or as a nonprofit organization structure is laid out. Let's define the role of individual so that we can't start crossing each other. Why should we should have the board giving us? I've been to some organizations, nonprofit organization meeting. I see the board giving us report. The board should not be giving us report. The executive authority of the administrator of the organization needs to be giving authority. Some organization are part of some nonprofit organization. I don't even know who the board members are.
Right.
because that's how it's supposed to be. The board's supposed to be able to be out there and find resources up and supplement and complement the executive
So
leadership.
you said the reason we are not doing that is because we're not having strategic meeting, or what?
No, we're not following the guidelines because let me just say to you again, this is not an easy fix. Let me just say to you because like
Okay.
people, again, I'm talking from my experience from our community. We used to doing stuff one way, and somebody say, "Oh, this is how we always do it." So you get that, you say, this is how we always do it. He coming for a new stuff. Maybe he learned something from some liberal arts school. He wants to bring it. The main point I'm saying here is that if we learn how to do, why you think the East African community are successful? You think they know better than us? The Department of Health gave millions of dollars to an organization here that the guy there who was former executive director who passed away was a friend. We went to school at a U of N together. They formed that organization. They gave them millions of dollars to provide our resources to the African community here, to provide housing loan to housing community here. The reason why they're successful because they build that infrastructure that will be able to guide the organization. Unless we build this thing, we'll continue to have these struggles.
And Mr. Colley,
Mhm.
one other area I don't know how you're going to deal with it is almost all our county organizations are focused on back home, because if you want to be a 501c3, you should start doing things right here in the United States.
Mhm.
How are you going to approach that?
This is a great question. I'm so delighted that you asked this question. I
Yeah,
always say,
I know this stuff.
yeah, you say it right. It looks like you've been part. This is a nice conversation. I wish we can do this frequently. I like this thing. And I've been around too a long time to know some of the challenges and the opportunities. And let me just go to some of the challenges we have. This is a good question because we as a community here, if at all we can just redirect our ideas to problem solving, to how can we serve our community. For instance, when I was local president, we had community garden programs. Yet for our elderly people, there were a lot of old folks and stuff that were sitting on home and not engaged in stuff and things. So we came up with the idea, let's have a community garden program. Let's take our elderly people to go make some garden, get some fresh vegetable, organic one, and be able to sell. We were able to get them engaged in doing something. We had a teenage pregnancy program here. And so we collaborated with a Jewish organization here, and not Jewish, but it was Presbyterian organization. They gave us some small grant. We were able to do teenage pregnancy prevention program in our community. Those are localized need that we have because our young people were getting pregnant, and some people can't. They had age issue and stuff and things. And age, I'm not talking about age now. They had issue with, this is kids supposed to be 20, now they're 25. So we had a lot of issues. So we had to educate our young people about violent preventions, how to follow, not to follow gangs and stuff. And we had people who invested in our resources. I just say, so we localize on our program. At the same time, we're providing scholarship back home. So you see how we diversify our portfolio to be able to serve in that capacity. We can't neglect ourselves. Let me use a biblical analogy. You can't go, what's the word name? I'm not a biblical scholar. But you start from Jerusalem. I think some biblical
Yeah.
text say you start from Jerusalem, you go to Samaria, or before you go to the uttermost part of the earth. You
Yeah.
got to start. If you pay what's the word name? Taxation, representation, or something taxation. People paying that $25 and $50, and they're getting sick, and nobody visits them. You think they'll always bring $50 because you want to be a well back home. But we can do both at the same time. And look, and the other thing that we can really do well is that we can be able to harness the resources and go out there and serve our people. They are young. Again, I'll come back to, we can do both. We can complement each other there. We can serve people here, but they are young kids and stuff and things. We need to sell this message to our people here. Some of us came from, I've seen it hitting my heart. I know I had three foster family who invested in my life to be sitting here today for a kid from the village. There are people in this place that are willing to put their resources along. We have a real well-structured organization. There are kids in Bogota, in other places there, in Volomeni, in Sanoye, in my little place, Bambokolita, and stuff, in Banga, in other cities in Bong County that need us. So the same way we're paying the money to get support here, we can also be willing to help people. There's a young girl there that needs our help.
Right. So let me ask this question, then we go to our comments.
Mm-hmm.
Because two ways we collect money for most of these organizations,
Mhm.
which I believe is not sustainable. $10 every month, meeting dues,
Please.
or we go to the convention sitting fees.
Mhm.
You can't, that money can't take you anywhere.
Not at
If you
all.
have the opportunity to be elected president, what will you do differently so as to sustain all the projects and all the work you need to do instead of just scraping by every day?
Thank you very much. I wish we have a school. Again, when I mean school, bring some people that will help us to build nonprofit. The reason why I keep referring to the East African people here because I work with them, I see that productivity, and I learn from them. Bring some people who have resources able to teach us how to build institutions. I'll come back to institutions. The reason why we dwell on $10, $120 a year, or $60 dues and stuff and things because we're not innovative. We don't develop the institution that will allow. Nobody's going to give you $100,000, grant when you don't have the infrastructure to be able to maintain it. So if we have given the opportunity, and this is what we aspire to be, this is our vision. This is largely our vision that we want to be able to build institutions. In order to build institutions, we got to bring the people the resources to do it. Human resources just for amongst ourselves and bring some outside people to teach us. We got to be able to build institutions to serve our community. We can build a productive nonprofit organization that can be able to find resources. Phoebe Hospital is breaking down for God's sake. Let's forget about the politics. I live in Minnesota. Our little small organization here just send some medical supplies and stuff to Phoebe and other stuff. We can do it on a national level if we just move this organization from this 501c4 idea, taking pictures with politicians to all be. I respect all the politicians that have given them rides and picked them to the airport, have taken pictures with them too. Is not going to cut it. We got to build institutions. In order for us to be trusted with loans and grants and money, we have to build the institution that these donors can be able to see and give us money.
Mm.
$60 a year, $120 a year, convention fees cannot cut it. It has
But,
to be
but
us building institutions. There are resources here that we can tap into it, but we got to build it. It doesn't happen.
someone listening to us now would think that you've just joined the organization. So with these brilliant ideas, where
Mhm.
have you been?
Wonderful. I like that. Yeah, hey, I hope somebody asking that question. Thank you. Yeah, I have been. Yeah, I invested a lot in this community, and he said, "Eyes behind me." He said, in Liberia, got his word. He said, "Live man witness is not far away." Ask people in
Mm.
the United Bong County Association. Ask people at the local level. Again, 2004, I came to the organization. A few months, I was elected as secretary of the organization. I served in that capacity for two presidents, including my late brother Richard Sonda and Andrew Tammy. I was his secretary. Then from there, I became president. When the first thing we did, just the idea I'm talking about, this is not new.
Mm.
We are organization. We make sure we have our own corporate office. We create because we work hard to make sure we can have a 501c. Other people are doing it. They pay it. They invest a lot into it. We enhance that process and become a full-fledged nonprofit 501c3 organization. We're able to get grants. That's how we're able to help provide a teenage pregnancy program. So I've been in the trenches. We have done this. Right now we're doing it. We just got medical supplies out of Minnesota here to Bong County. We working right now to provide scholarship program for young people. We got a program that we're developing, which I'm part of, and heading the education committee process. We're going to provide scholarship for young people in Bong County. That kids, we got to provide full scholarship for them. We're doing that through this small nonprofit organization. So I've been part of this process to build institution in Minnesota. So I'm asking for the opportunity to do it at a larger level. The reason why
Mm.
Minnesota has even chosen to be the host because Minnesota has the capacity to
Mm.
do that and stuff because of the work that we have done in this community. And I just hope that people, I don't want to campaign now because the
Yeah.
campaign is now officially started, but I'm just
Yeah.
sharing our vision. We want to be able to carry that information. I mean, what we have done here at a small scale, we want to be able to bring it at the national level.
Last
Sorry,
question.
sorry. Just before you go, sir, I just want to add this. One of the things we're not doing well is to brand ourselves as an institution. So as we build this structure that we're thinking about and envision of building an organization, the second thing we need to brand it. We need people. We got people in the professional world. You know that there's a UBCA. We want people that are trying to address the need with young people in Bong County. Look at our agriculture sector. It's dying. Our old folks in team don't grow food anymore. And some people go, oh, the people in the interior don't grow food anymore. What happened with them? I'm a social science person. I like research. Let's collect data and understand why people are not making farm. And see how we can help to support them. There's a need there, but we have to build this infrastructure and the institution to do that. Nobody will give you $5 unless you have the infrastructure to do that. And that's a common sense. Somali community doing it, they're getting millions. The Ethiopian community, the Jewish community has done
When
it
you
over
say
the years.
infrastructure to do that, tell me about this infrastructure. What does it look like?
Great. Man, I wish we would have this interview frequent. Okay. To get privilege. Again, it has to start from the business. And people think to build institution, you need to have all the people from MIT and educated people to come. No. What you need to have a vision as an organization. This is what we want to do. The next thing again is to develop a plan, a strategic plan. This is the blueprint in terms of how we want to do it. The other thing now, you bring the labor, you bring the individuals, and because a lot of our services is volunteer now. You start at a volunteer level. Yeah, the other thing we do, we give people positions that don't even know how to do it, and the guy comes there, then he doesn't show up the next day. Find the right people that for the right fitting. We're in a meeting with a gentleman again. I don't want to call his name yet. He has a PhD. This man is epidemiologist, one of the top in Wisconsin. We're in a meeting, somebody asked him and said, oh, Dr. This, can you serve on this committee? He said, no, and so that's not my area. It was humbling to hear that. But most time we Liberians will say, oh, my man be the secretary. Oh, yeah, I'm the secretary. The next week you ask the guy for the minutes of the meeting, he gets mad because he doesn't know how to do it. So let's strategically put people where they belong. So we can be able. I'll close with this. We have another lady. She did not go to formal school, but this woman is one of the brilliant person. I'll call her name just for the public relationship here, relation rather. Magali Massa is in our community here. That woman comes to our meeting. She comes with brilliant idea. One day she just sits around. She said, "Come on, what if we can build a guest house in Bong County that people who living from here to go to Bong County, Mahele, I'm showcasing your idea. I hope you're listening. And so that we who even go to Bong County that don't have in Banga don't have houses there, we can rent that house and the resources from that house can go to feeding the young people in the schools or help somebody in the hospital. That's a unique idea. So what I'm saying here, it doesn't require bringing people MIT, bring people who fit in the process to get it done. Again, infrastructure, building an institution, that's what we don't do best. We always want to have results, but we're not. To build institution is a tough thing. It's not a joke. That's what we don't do best. We always want to have.
My next question is your one you're going to be running against or possibly running against.
So I do have a little technical
Mr.
time, so I didn't
Mr.
get
Josh
that
too.
stuff. We had little technical difficulties there. I
No,
couldn't get
I
that
said,
question. Uh-huh.
so sorry. Can you get me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you get me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's my last question. We go to our comments.
Mhm.
Campaign has not started, but the person who you may likely run against is Mr. Josh Toto,
Mhm.
former chairman of the ULA board of
Yeah.
directors. He's
Yeah.
well known, he's popular,
Yeah.
he's been around this for a long time.
Yeah.
Why would anyone want to pick you over Mr. Toto?
Great question. Because again, I come back to the area service. This community has known me over the years, decades that I've been involved in the community and locally. It's always been how can we serve our people, provide resources for them. Compared to Mr. Tudo, he's a great gentleman. He served our community on the ULA level. And we applaud him, honor him for his service there. This community stuff is a volunteer stuff. It requires a lot of resources and time. We applaud him for that. But the idea between I'm not saying you're going to bring the ULA model, between what we have done and Mr. Tudo, it is a big contrast. We come from the idea like let's make this organization a non-profit service organization that can be able to bring our vision. Let's be able to develop institution that can have the framework to serve our people. And, don't get me wrong. I want us to get involved in the politics and stuff, and then we all can do that. I was part of the ANC before, part of another group before a couple of years. We all can do the politicking. That's the fine stuff. I'm not trying to disparage anybody who gets involved in that. But we have to serve our people. So I bring service to this community that we can build a nonprofit 501c3 organization that can be able to provide resources for a young kid in the village there, that can be able to serve our elderly people, that can be able to have an organization that our young people who don't know about Bong County can know what is Bong County. We can also be able to bring people of professional background. I think we're having some technical difficulties here, but we can bring those resources to bear, and this is what we want to do. So I applaud Mr. Toto for the work he has done in our community. But this is about service. This is not about how many political leaders you host, or how many political engagement you do. It has to be service, and that's the difference. That's a big contrast.
We apologize for the technical issues I'm experiencing here. But quickly to our comments, there's someone watching this, one have never heard about the Bong County Association. She said, how can she become a part? What's the website number? How does one become a member?
Thank you. And again, I don't know what state you live, but I would first want to say check in your region if you're in the U.S. If you have a Bong County organization there in your state, be part of a local organization. That's fine. On the national level, you can currently, sadly, I must admit here, I don't see a running website for UBCA, but I know you can be able to contact some folks who are part of the community. But on a local level, there's organizations that are really doing a lot of wonderful work. Like Bon Kwateke Association, you can go to Kwateke, KWATEKEHMN, that's Minnesota.org. You will be able to, if you live in this region, you can be a member, or you can be able to contact the local leadership. They will be able to connect you to a local chapter, or that you can be a service there. But we hope to be able to structure this organization so we can have the humanities for our people across the country. And again, one of the things that we want to build a database. We want to be able to find our Bong County citizens there across the country, because guess what? You can't be serving people in the breeze. You got to know where they are, what are their needs. Just we come to need assessment. We got to know where our people are and what are the things that they really want to be done in the community. So that's one of the infrastructure we got to build. We bring in some technical people already on board and stuff that providing their expertise for us free as we build this exploratory process in place. The building will have an interactive website that individual will be able to go there and give their comments, get their opinion, that people will be able to know where the local chapter is, their contact information. People will know projects that we're doing in Bong County as of today. We're creating a database not only for us to locate each other, but also to identify where resources are. For example, in Minnesota, we know this is a big healthcare-based area. We know we can find medical supplies. In Atlanta, maybe we can find something there. In Pennsylvania, we can find something there. So we're building a database not to identify our individual, but also where we can find resources and stuff and things. So, yeah.
Thank you. Momba Saliti, I'm watching from my home is that Monticello, Minnesota, thanks to our incoming president. They calling you
Yeah,
Excellency
now
already.
he ready to run campaign now. I try to shy away from the campaign stuff. Yeah, I'll tell you
Vivian
again.
Powerhouse say the convention venue. What do you have to say about it, Mr. Colley? I know we talk about that, so keep your comments. We'll just jot it down. I will give you
Okay.
time to respond.
Okay.
She continued, if Philadelphia was elected to have the convention, then Philadelphia should be upheld. So why are you saying Philadelphia was never elected to host the convention? So that's a question for you there. Alvin Buaka, I think your answer are great. Leo Momba, believe is your campaign chair, say he's proud of you.
Great. At least my campaign chair is proud of me. That means I'm doing great. Because the guy who drinks me, and stuff.
Variant say if the information is true concerning the convention venue and no Bong County chapter in the Delaware Valley, then we need to dig into this deeper.
Great.
Moses Vakwana said the document from the board and the executive is available, Mr. Jan can obtain it from President Sunda. That's
Great. Thank you.
Samuel Sunda.
I think that document needs to, maybe that document needs to be public. Again, I don't want to tell the board and executive what to do, but it just to be able to, dissolve some of these rumors and lies that are going around.
He said, why would you say there is no compromise on the convention venue, Mr. Colley? Is that because the board decision is in your interest? Alvin Boakai said there is no compromise because the decision was taken by both the board and the executive, and the decision is based upon the Constitution. The venue, according to Moses, was determined by the board and executive, including the election commission.
By the way, he's a board member, okay?
Yeah, so is it a case of Fantin said the Bonina right? We'll come to that.
Here we go. I like that.
Quina Duty Rufus said there are international grants program available. You can use the opportunity to seek funding and use such for community and Bong County or Liberia. Like Mr. Colley rightly said, education through scholarship could be one of the many ways. Material resources also is another. He continues, the amount may be little, but the great number of people, it takes a leader who is robustly proactive to claim deals and project programs. So these are some of our, we got a Frank Floyd say, you have my support, sir.
Oh, great.
This is our Atlanta-based people now. Kemanti say, hello, Mr. Colley. And Virian say, Ivan, Ivan, I do agree. Effective communication is very important. It helps avoid conflict. Great. And I think the person who was asking should be Agatha. I was asking for, but I don't see the comment anymore to put that on the screen. But this is where we are now. You can respond to our viewers.
Thank you. Convention hosting, I'll go to that because that's where a lot of the misinformation is. I don't decide where the convention is hosted. I'm not even a candidate in the first place. I'm aspiring to be a candidate because the election commission has not even cleared me. They have not even asked me. Maybe they'll ask me to be 200 years old before I can participate in the process. That's a joke aside, but I don't decide where the convention, neither my exploratory team decides where the convention is held. It's this community leadership that decides where this convention is held. So the idea is that Minnesota is a host convention is because of Camon is completely a big black lie. As I said, this convention can go on the rock. We will be able to go under the rock and beat Mr. Toto or any other person who contests to us because we invest a lot in this community. People know our work. I'm not saying it of any arrogance. I'm saying it with absolute, humble about it. This is about time that we serve our people. Our people need us. Let's put this political stuff aside. Let's bring our politicians to the conventions. That's fine. But let's showcase what is happening. Look at our district's organization. Mr. Jai, we can keep this conversation for 200 years. I live this thing just like how you said. Look at our district's organization. Look at the Kukoya group. Look at the Sanoye group. Look at the different Full Basin group. Those people are doing wonderful work as a small group. We need to showcase those people at the convention. These are the real Bong County organizations. These are the
Yeah.
people who are supposed to come to the convention and showcase their work, and we be able to promote them and support them. We don't, as a national organization, you don't have membership. Your membership is based in these different local organizations. All your work there is to build the institution, to harness them and support them. And so that's so to say the convention venue, just going back to it, is not my calling. It's the board and executive decides that. Let people start carrying false information because those things then define you tomorrow. This is not a regular politicking in Liberia where you got to say something bad in order to get some opportunities. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And the Delaware part of it and stuff. I, Listen, as I said, if I given the opportunity, the first visit would be Delaware. I applaud Delaware for the work they're doing. Kentucky was a good example. Kentucky was elected to have convention after they submitted the application and then vetted by the executive, submitted by the board, approved by the board, ratified by the convention. They hosted convention. We got history
Mm.
of this. This is an institution that's been around for over 30 years. It has infrastructure in place. Today is not working for you, then you want to kill everybody who is working to get it going. This just is discouraging. Again, I don't like the politics
Mm.
part of it, but it's totally discouraging that people will
Yeah.
just carry misinformation out there and lies.
Let's respond to that question also because of COVID. Will you have in-person convention?
We haven't gotten a clear picture here where how the convention going to be hosted because we're waiting for the formal communication from the board and the executive. But it's all indication because our constitution says that it has to be in person. And secondly, I don't think we do even have the infrastructure to do virtual convention and stuff. We don't even have a website right now. Again, I don't want to put our dirty water outside and stuff. But that's the reality. That's the
Right.
infrastructure we need to have.
Mr. Kamon, we're almost out of time.
Yeah, I
Is
enjoyed
there
this conversation.
anything else that you want to mention that we didn't cover?
I don't want to campaign, but I want to use this opportunity to give a clear vision of where we're supposed to be in my term. I'm coming to read from my paper, and I want to read there, but let you know what it is. I'm a teacher. I come from an education and research background. In order for us to succeed in anything that we do, we got to do what they call critical analysis of where we are. We as an organization need to take a real check, re-examination of ourselves. We've been around over 30 years. What have we done to be able to help a kid in Bamukali town? In my little village, what have you done to be able to help a kid in Bodota? What have you done to be able to help a kid in Banga? What have we done to be able to go to Salala to help a kid there? And those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. I'm not saying we have not done nothing, but what can we do? What can we do better to be able to enhance, to develop our community? Our agriculture system is dying. Our people don't have seeding like before. When I was growing up, my old man used to make sure the place that the seeding is, even the rat would not pass there, it will be protected. Our people, the water tanking, the people ate all the seeding. Now we tell the people, oh, yeah, need to make fun. Maybe we need to develop programs and start having to give people seeds and so that they can get fun. Give them some tools to be able to do it and stuff. Our school system is a I cry some day when I see kids sitting down on the ground because I used to be sitting down there before like that. I say now a little bit emotional. What can we do as a community to invest in the lives of those children? Let's forget about this convention venue and this nonsense. I'm sorry for it. I don't want to be sounding abrasive here, but let's get away from the nonsense. Let's find a way that we can help our people. People need. Phoebe is dying. This is a debate between government ownership and church or private ownership. That's fine. We can find a way to look at our concessions agreement, Mr. Jad. We're not on the table. We as an organization don't even know what all the concession. The last time we had a spill in Bong County, our people's lives were destroyed. I'm sure they're not benefiting much from it. How can we sit down with these concession companies and say, hey, let's look at your social impact? What are you going to do in terms of social development here? Not to give few people few bucks and stuff and forget about the people. we as an institution can position ourselves. Again, county organization has one of the greatest opportunities to spur development in our country. And we as UBCA, if we're given the opportunity, that's the way we want to do. We want to build institutions that can serve our people. Unless some of our opponents, and stuff, and then who believes that we can have a political institution, a 501c4 organization. How can we have a 501c4 organization? Can we raise money to support political parties or political agendas in Africa? No, we got to register ourselves on foreign agent or something like that. Again, I don't pretend to be this guru on nonprofit organization, but 501c3 status is the way to go. I can go to a community college right now and say, please give us all your textbooks you're ready to throw away. This is our 501c3 status. They read it out. But with 501c4, they will ask me, which political pack are you part of? Are you part of the Democratic political party or Farmer Union political pack? No, we're part of Bong County political pack. Okay, that's foreign organization. We don't invest our money into it. This is a common sense idea here. It's not for us to be taking pictures with politicians. I respect the politicians who serve our country, but be it. When they come here next time, when we are president, we'll host them. We'll give them all the platitude. These are our leaders. They were elected. We didn't choose them. But whether you like it or not, as a people, we'll give them all the respect. But let's promote our organization, our district, the county affiliated organization, Boma Association, the different Beaufort Alumni Association. Those people are doing great work in our community. And these are the people we need to sit on the table to form this union than trying to be a political institution. I'm passionate about this, and I don't want to campaign now. But if the time comes, look at our plans and look at our vision. With day one, we start putting our vision out there. Everything of us, what we have done is listed there. You see what I've done. I've been in this community. I invested into it. My family have invested into it. Other people's family are invested into it. But we keep doing the same thing over and over. It has to change. This has to come to an end. And that's why I'm in the process. Thank you.
Thank
Again,
you so
I
much.
don't want to sound like a preacher man, but this is a nice conversation. I think we can do better. And this go across to all the other county organizations that are doing great work. Let's change the model. This $10 thing is not working. It's not going to work. It never worked 20 years ago. It's not going to work again. Resources are here. Money are here. Other people getting it, we can find a way to get it. And that's when we build institutions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Colley. And
Yeah.
if campaign starts, don't hesitate to come back. We can host a debate between you and your opponent. It's done
Great.
right here on Focus on Liberia, where we
Yeah.
educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberian.
Thank
Tomorrow,
you, man.
if you chance, please join us for Tough Talking Thursday. On Tough Talking Thursday, we're going to be discussing, is it the government or the politician? Join us tomorrow, Tough Talking Thursday. And until then, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Colley. I want to thank all of you, our viewers, for joining us tonight. Till then, my name is Dennis Jack, closing on behalf of the station.
Yeah.
We are Labira. Labira is our home. Labira people. Awala.